Mr. Speaker, under NDP governments, Manitoba has consistently had one of the highest rates of child poverty in all of Canada. According to a recent report by the Manitoba Centre for Health Policy, a child living in a poor area of urban Manitoba is 47 times more likely to be apprehended and taken into care than one living in a high-income area. According to CFS guidelines, children can be apprehended for neglect when there's inadequate shelter and not enough food. I asked the Minister of Family Services, why did the NDP not raise the shelter rates to start reversing the strikingly high numbers of children being apprehended by CFS?
Thank the member for the question, because it is an important question, what we do to relieve poverty, to ensure that people have a decent life, which is why 3 years ago we announced the largest build of social housing in the last 20 years in Manitoba, 1,500 units over 5 years. We're ahead of schedule on that. In this budget, which I believe the member of River Heights will vote against, we announced another 500 units of social housing. We ensured that every family, including single-parent families on social assistance, were eligible for the National Child Benefit, which the members of the Progressive Conservative Party, the members opposite, when the leader of the Fort White was in cabinet, they clawed back $150 per family. They clawed back the child benefit of over $500 for every family in the province of Manitoba. That did not allow them to live with dignity. We have put those resources back into the budgets of low-income people to the tune of $48 million, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the Premier is forgetting the importance of human infrastructure in our poorest Manitobans. Many times this last year, I've called on the government to raise shelter rates. Make Poverty History has recommended raising the shelter rates to 75% of market rates so that Manitoba families would not have to use their food money to pay the rent. This is affordable. In the budget, I asked the Minister of Family Services, why did she not ensure that in this year's NDP budget that the shelter rates were adequately raised so that families would not have to use their food money to pay the rent?
I thank the member again for the question, because underlying the challenge for low-income people is access to decent and affordable housing, which is why we've made a record commitment to build more social housing in the province of Manitoba in the areas where it's most needed. And we're doing that. We're doing that in partnership with community agencies. We've raised the shelter benefit or rent aid by $240 this year. We had $9 million we invested in that previously. We've got special benefits for people when they're training or working, which adds more money to their budgets. People with mental health issues get an additional $200 a month. $200 a month, Mr. Speaker, so that they do not have to be homeless. All of these benefits are intended to ensure that people have housing first, they have a stable lifestyle, they get access to supports and services through the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority, through our mental health agencies and our nonprofit agencies. And we've reduced admissions to emergency rooms quite dramatically.
The Premier's time has expired.
Mr. Speaker, the Premier knows that raising the rent aid by $20 a month does not provide an adequate base for poor people to get shelter. Indeed, as he must know, the Phoenix Sinclair inquiry has revealed to Manitobans how dangerously mismanaged Manitoba's child and family service system has become under the NDP. Under their policies, children remain entrenched in poverty and are subsequently apprehended by CFS and placed into the NDP's expensive and chaotic child and family service system. I asked the Minister of Family Services, why hasn't she, as Minister, insisted to the Premier and the NDP cabinet that shelter rates must be raised, as Make Poverty History has asked?
Mr. Speaker, all the members of this side of the House, and I believe many members on the other side of the House, know that addressing child poverty is a very important issue. We've reduced poverty in Manitoba for children by 28% since the year 2000 on a market basket measure, which is the purchasing power that people have in the province of Manitoba. Children living in poverty, single-parent families living in poverty have been reduced by 24%, and we have 16,000 people that have no longer live in poverty since the year 2000. So we've lifted the floor for Manitobans. We've lifted the minimum wage again in this year's budget, Mr. Speaker, to another 20 cents, something I know the members of both of the opposition parties have opposed consistently. We've lifted the minimum wage so that when people have the opportunity to enter the labor market, they get a decent wage for doing that. We provide additional supports. We provide optical supports. We provide other supports to people that are entering the labor market, and we're ensuring people with mental health issues have an extra $200 a month,
Please.
Mr. Speaker.
Order, please. Minister's time has expired.